Hey, what's up, everybody? Rob Marzullo here, Ram Studio Comics. And today I want to give you a glimpse into the next lesson that I'm making that'll be available on things like my Gumroad, Skillshare, things like that. But essentially, I'm working up the sketch and getting ready for paint to teach the entire process of creating this artwork. And this is still pretty rough, but hopefully you can kind of see it coming together. And there's going to be all sorts of like cool blues and the armor and probably like this purplish sky in the background. So I'm going to make it kind of psychedelic or colorful, and fun. But essentially, I wanted to tell you that if you use the link that I provide in the description box below to watch some of my video lessons, I've got like a bunch of classes on Skillshare now, and it seems to be going real good, and everybody seems to be enjoying it. So I wanted to make sure to share it on here and let you know that if you use that link, you actually get 2 months free right now. So I don't know how long that link will be good. I'm sure it'll always give you at least a month free, but right now they're offering 2 months free of premium, which is fantastic because there is a lot of great content on there. So use that link, get your 2 months free, soak up all sorts of good information, good knowledge, great laid out tutorials from a lot of other instructors, myself included. Obviously, I got to pat myself on the back there. But let me know what you think as well, as far as the content that's on there and what you'd like to see more of. And then today I'm going to give you a free lesson on taking this and doing some refining techniques before I get this to the final level of cleaner pencils ready for paint. So without further ado, let me show you that. So I'm going to drag this off and make another layer. So I like really staging the steps like I showed you here. I can kind of watch as the stuff comes together and see what choices I might have made that are good, what choices could be a bit better, so on and so forth. But what I wanted to show you here is that sometimes you can take a pose like this that's otherwise pretty static, and you can employ just a couple quick tips. Like for instance, one really quick and easy process that you could do to a static pose is just tilt the character. So you'll probably notice that if you see a popular character, well-drawn character by a famous artist, whatever, they very rarely will take a standing pose and just leave it completely straight up and down. They do sometimes, but it's really rare. Either something in the background will be very dynamic, something to shift it from just being plain Jane straight up and down. So you can tilt the character. That's a pretty easy one to grasp, right? And then another thing you can do is, I've got to fix the position of the head here. So you constantly just move parts around, changing the size, fixing proportions. I want to just bring this forward just a little bit in comparison to the neck. And then, also like just tilting parts of the body. So she's pretty much just standing straight up and down. There's a little bit of curvature from the upper torso to the pelvis, but I think we could push that a little bit further. I also think that we could maneuver some of this down as we tilt it. So let's try tilting the back just a little more, bringing this back a bit further. Scaling, doing whatever needs to be done, but I think there needs to be a little bit more space. So I'm going to bring this down just a little bit like that. Hit enter, command D to deselect, and then I just obviously got to fill this in like this. I'm constantly like sketching through and leaving all these bad lines that I got to get back in there and fix up. But hopefully you can see just by shifting little things like this that you can really start to change the artwork pretty dramatically. Or I wouldn't even say dramatically, I guess kind of subtle changes. But all these subtle changes add up and really make a dynamic feel. So I'm just very into making all these changes and trying to push it as far as I can. And sometimes it's simple things, like if something's just not looking right, just make a small change and keep doing that until you get to a better end result. And then if you stage the work like this, you can just kind of watch it keep shifting. So I'm still seeing a little bit of awkwardness. I still feel like the head needs to come up forward even more, which is crazy that I was that far off of it. But I always talk about like contrasts, like contrasting elements. The more you put down of this, the more other areas will contrast based on what you're doing. And it's not just with color or any of that. It's with shapes, it's with form. So, I can oftentimes see better into the work as I put more information in place. So I may just get over into a certain area of the work and start detailing so that hopefully something will start to stick out and, maybe make a little more sense as I progress through it. So yeah, just kind of messing around with this. Like this shoulder piece, for some reason, I feel like it doesn't have the dimension to it that I'm looking for. So, I'll try to maybe like scale it up to push the foreshortening a bit. Remember too that you can hit Command Shift T and you can distort. Love that feature in here. Likewise, you can also go to Edit, Transform, Mesh Transformation, and you can maneuver these points around, but also you can add more points if you want. I usually don't get into this a whole lot, but you can see if I start clicking on here, I can add as many points as I need. I usually like just working with the ones it gives you right here. And obviously the one that you grab closest to the area that you're trying to influence, that's what you're going to get. But you can quickly kind of distort something into place and kind of see what it looks like in a different shape or whatever. So really effective for controlling your artwork. And then Command D to deselect. So it's starting to get there, and I could do some other things. I could increase the size of the sword and the hand here, really push the foreshortening. I could keep tucking this this arm further back. Probably could go back a little bit more actually. You want to get the tilt just right. You got to picture where the elbow is going to land, and sometimes it's good just to do a draw through on that. So yeah, so basically just with some small changes, you can start to make a more dynamic feel to an otherwise static pose. So I might grab this leg and bring it out just a little bit more, just to affect the posture of it. And likewise, we could probably grab this leg here. See what it looks like with a bit of tilt. I don't know that I would tilt it back any further than that. Let's try that right there. Deselect, fill in the line here. And it's probably good to really see this from a distance as well. So if you get in the habit of being too zoomed in to your work, you kind of miss some things. So now another really important thing is really use the soft erase to your advantage. I've been stressing this a lot lately because you're really able to push the information back on the page, get any of the visually obstructive information out of the way, and then come back through and just make small changes, just employing that that tool. The soft erase is just highly effective. And I think I mentioned it in the last video, but just in case I didn't, somebody was like, why don't you just use the layers? And you can, but I just feel like the soft erase is just like drawing traditionally, like a kneaded eraser. And I can really just pinpoint areas that I want to keep making subtle changes to. So, but whatever works for you. Now, one thing I will mention, and I do go into more detail in the this course that I'm preparing now, about this, is the mask feature. So I'll show you that real quick. So say that we've got this far enough, and I would keep really messing with it. Like for instance, I think I still want to add, I'm going to grab this whole top area of the character right to about here. I think I'm going to need to grab that shield, and let me try to tilt her back even further. So I'm really trying to stretch the pose. I think that's a bit better. Let's see. Hit enter and wait like 10 minutes while it does that. I don't know why that takes so long. Alright, and then zoom back, and then let's check it again. So from back here, and remember, you can always squint your eyes, but I kind of do both. So I'll zoom back, squint my eyes, and just try to spot flaws. But again, this one's just kind of straight up and down. It's not a bad pose. I mean, I still like that. But I feel like this has a little bit more, it's starting to get more and more interesting, and that's what I'm looking for. Like, it's still not great, it still needs some refinement, but it's a step closer to looking more interesting than this was, where that's just kind of straight up and down. I actually like the proportions a bit better right there, but I like the more interesting feel here, so I still got to correct some proportions. I think I actually will scale the head back down now. Yeah, because we do want the effect that, you know, we're somewhat getting away from camera as this view goes up. So if you really start to try to think perspectively of the character, it needs to start resembling something like this. And you can also draw those lines in there on another layer early on to help you remember that as you're doing it. I probably should have. And then I just start to detail and figure out where I want these little breaks in the armor and so on and so forth, and just keep refining it till I get it to what I'm looking for. Okay, so that's kind of the tips that I want to give you as far as like making adjustments, and you really just want to keep doing that. You want to keep grabbing these areas, maneuvering them around, and just really explore all the opportunities. And then every so often we'll say, I don't know, let's bring that down a little more right there maybe. Every so often you just want to make another copy. And then through that process of just kind of staging the work, you should be able to get to a more interesting end result. Now, the other thing that I want to leave you with, the last tip for this particular video, is if you use this right here, this can be great for a lot of things, but let's just go ahead and put a layer mask over this. And then now what we can do is we can soft erase parts of this. Right, so we can soft erase all this information down. We can start applying paint over top or beneath, or however you like to paint. There's lots of ways to do it, obviously. But then say you want to bring this line work back, and just go to an airbrush with like normal mode or something like that, and you can brush that right back in. So it's a non-destructive layer mask that allows you to push information forward and back. So it's really great for soft erasing and drawing over top, which I tend to do that on the existing layer that I'm working on, but it's really great for paint work, and we actually explore that in these next series of lessons. It's how I build up the paint work over top of this after I get the line work all good to go. So at any rate, that's the information for today, or the little video. Hopefully you've enjoyed this and it's shown you a thing or two. Keep in mind that there's a link in the description box below for Skillshare, so 2 free months by using that, and you know, soak up all sorts of great information on there. There's lots of fantastic instructors doing their thing on there. So let me know what you think, and as always, keep drawing, keep having fun, and I will talk to you soon.